I'm Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys. We're sitting here in my pride and joy, AT&T Stadium. I'm proud to be a fan and anxious to watch taking stock.
Well, 2 minutes to go here until the closing bell on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange on this Thursday, August 25th. Very special thanks to the Dallas Cowboys' very own owner, Jerry Jones, for today's opening word. A very special edition of the show, the launch of NYSE Texas. Much more from my colleague, Kristen Scholler, as well as Governor Greg Abbott coming up here in just a bit. But first, the Einstein of Wall Street himself. Interesting tape today. NVIDIA, a strong outperformer after earnings. Salesforce ripping.
Yeah, it's all about NVIDIA today. We know that market has been sort of sideways for a number of days, wondering, needing something to get its teeth into, and NVIDIA was it. I know that it's curious because every day people are just, they're scared of this AI bubble, or they're scared about the, the CapEx versus monetization. And as we revert back to Dan Ives, who always says we're in the third inning of a 9-inning game, going into extra innings in the AI revolution. And no one understands that for every dollar of CapEx spending is going to contribute to $5, in economic growth, within the whole data center and AI space. So if we hold on to that and realize that is real and it's going to grow, and then we're just the beginning of this place, then the market has room to rock, room to grow. And all of this time when we're sitting and wondering and fearful about it, we have to have some confidence that this is just the beginning of the game.
Peter Stuckman, thank you for being here. We toss things now down to the great state of Texas for tonight's very special remote closing bell. Up in just the next few minutes. First, your final tail of the tape. Look at this. As Caleb Silver and the Spaniard from the movie Gladiator like to say, are you not entertained? Caleb Silver, get in here. Let's start this thing early. Wow, what a market today. NVIDIA outperforming CRM. Welcome back to the party. Let's start with NVIDIA, what we learned from Jensen Huang, because I learned some of these things from you today. A new creative financing tool and selective credit enhancements. What does that mean? What did we learn from the big man?
Yeah, they've been talking about this thing called residual value support and selective credit enhancements. Doesn't sound a lot like NVIDIA, sounds a lot like Wall Street, which is what's scaring some investors apparently not today. This residual value support, that's when they loan their customers money to buy NVIDIA chips to build out their data centers. If they don't have enough money, those loans backed by Wall Street, they work out, more revenue, more profit for NVIDIA. The question is, will they work out?
All right, Caleb, I'm going to have you stand by because we do have commentary here from Governor Greg Abbott in the great state of Texas. We'll take a listen.
A few comments. We'd love to hear from you. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank all the companies that are co-listing right here in the great state of Texas on the NYSE. I want to thank Lynn, the entire team, for their commitment, for their involvement here in the state of Texas. Listen, this is something that we've been building toward for more than a decade now. It has now been the home of the most capital of any state in the United States of America, and it just makes sense that Texas is now home of capital markets right here in Dallas, Texas. We have a lot of CEOs with us here right now. I want to thank all CEOs, both here as well as those not here, because it's those CEOs who have ranked Texas the best state for doing business for 22 years in a row. These CEOs and their Texas. And Texas now ranks #1 for home of more Fortune 500 companies than any other state in the United States. But for every business leader here, every business leader, let me leave you with this message. We're just getting started. As we have reestablish the state by creating business courts, by creating the best environment for companies to locate their headquarters here. and we are going to make sure that we pass even more laws that are favorable to businesses so that more will come here. More will locate their So thank you to our business leaders across the country. God bless Texas.
We'll pick up our conversation with Caleb Silver, editor-in-chief of Investopedia. Do you have more on NVIDIA? I didn't want to cut you short there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Some days you just got to let the leaders lead, let the big cats cook. That's what we saw today. NVIDIA dragging technology software stocks higher as well. Look at Salesforce as well, big pop on that stock. But it was really tech, NVIDIA, and some software stocks leading the way today, and sometimes that's all you need. We do, have a pretty strong market otherwise, although when you look at around the names that you're seeing, some of the consumer staples names, you're seeing some wilting strength there, which could be a sign of economic weakness.
Let the big cats cook. Dude, I love that one. That's really good. Okay, up on the Investopedia Substack this week, you wrote about your worries when it comes to Wall Street's creative financing, perhaps getting a bit too creative. What do you see that maybe the rest of us should be paying a little bit more attention to there, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm not the only one. A lot of people are questioning what they call circular financing, the potential that NVIDIA is funding its own customers, getting those loans backstopped by Wall Street so that it will buy its products, so that it can continue this incredible pace of revenue and profit growth that it's really maintained for really 15 quarters in a row. Did you know, my friend, that it has cleared the midpoint on its own revenue guidance for 15 consecutive quarters? It's beaten in analyst estimates 12 out of the past 13 quarters. How much longer can this last? Investors are hoping this continues, but when you hear about these types of deals, residual financing, credit enhancements, that worries old school investors like me that like the old NVIDIA that was just a massively awesome engineering company that made great chips.
Speaking of awesome, how about chips, tech, and energy? What we are seeing, 8 of the top 10 large ETFs this year. What is driving the dominance? What is most standing out in the ETF conversation?
South Korea and Taiwan. I know those markets have come off a little bit. I was looking at the top 10 ETFs with assets under management of at least $10 billion. Guess what? Around 6 or 7 of them are chip or tech ETFs. You have a couple oil ETFs there, and then for old schoolers, you have some dividend ETFs. But I know equal value is beating the S&P 500 this year, but not in ETF land when you look at flows. The big ETFs, the big tech ETFs, and the regional ETFs, South Korea and Taiwan, still leading with gains. Incredible gains. That South Korean ETF is up over 80% year to date, EWY.
How much of this is tied to the Trump administration's national security agenda? Is there an overlap that might be not quite so intuitive to the average viewer watching at home?
Yeah, if you haven't read it, you should, because it's out there for everyone to read. And what does it say? It says the United States must secure its own economic strength and support around the world and control the resources it needs to continue to grow and dominate. What are those resources today? Those are oil and those are semiconductors. Guess what are the best performing ETFs this year? Oil and semiconductors, some of the best performing sectors as well. So it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. This is well choreographed. Proximity to power is everything this year in the stock market. We've learned that over and over. We continue to learn it by looking at money flow.
Caleb, we have 50 stocks that are trading at their 52-week lows. 3 of them happen to be from the same sector. What is being hit hardest right now?
Well, just do it because it's retail. You're wondering what the impact of tariffs is? It's on retailers. I'm looking at Nike at a 5-year low, not just a 52-week low.
True.
TJ Maxx and Canada Goose. It's a little warm for down right now. These 3 stocks at 52-week lows. Again, Nike in a swirling pattern right now. I'll give you some bonus stocks at 52-week lows. McDonald's and Wingstop. Why is that happening? We're seeing other higher end fast casual restaurants perform a lot better. I'm talking about Cava. I'm talking about Cheesecake Factory. At the lower end, Wingstop and McDonald's, both at 52-week lows right now.
Is the Nike, you think, a company-specific problem, or is there something going on with the sector? And I'm reminded of what we saw go on earlier this week with some of the Foot Locker news related to Dick's Sporting Goods down, getting absolutely throttled with something like 30% intraday. Is this something kind of bigger going on, or are we looking at Nike through much more of a kind of a focused microscope?
Yes and yes. It is the apparel sector, because the apparel sector has been hit not just with tariffs, but with slowing sales, especially in China. That's a huge market for Nike, not doing as well there as it used to do. But you're looking around the sectors, around apparel right now, not pretty. I think a lot of that is tariff related. I also think a lot of it is discretionary spending. Now, back to school is in full swing. We'll see if any of that picks up. but it doesn't look like there's anything out there that's going to motivate this sector right now. The economy, if you look at consumer sentiment and expectations, very low right now, especially at that rung, at that income level. That's why you're seeing some pain there.
I'm very grateful for your time. Every time you make time for us generously here on Taking Stock, and thanks for hanging with us through the audio challenges of the governor. Always nice to see you, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll grab your mic. We'll talk again soon. Howard, here are a few of the top analyst calls that moved the tape this morning here on Wall Street. First, it's wide open. First up, Citi downgrading Abercrombie & Fitch to neutral. They say the risk-reward setup is a bit more balanced. New price target 156. Abercrombie up 36% this week alone after earnings. Next up, Wolf reiterating its outperform call on Alphabet. They say the stock is a top idea as we head into 2027. Digital advertising, cloud compute, new sources of revenue. It all make it highly competitive in the Gen AI space. Shares up 6% on the year. Finally, Deutsche Bank downgrading Novo Nordisk to sell, citing a ton of negative catalysts. There is a patent cliff for Ozempic and Wegovy for the year 2032. After that, generic copies of those drugs can enter the market. Could be a headwind. Novo down 11% on the year. Howard, let's look at CRM. Do not adjust your monitors. That does say Salesforce up 22% here on the year. Far and away the best performer in the Dow 30. You might know for quite some time, folks, this got caught up in that narrative, that long-running story of multi-month sell-off, the so-called SaaSpocalypse. Today, you may wonder, what SaaSpocalypse? Really crushing it on earnings yesterday. Far and away the best performer in both the Dow and in the S&P 500 today. 22.58% today for a very strong day of outperformance from Salesforce. Folks, we're going to take a very quick break here on the special edition of Taking Stock live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. More of the broadcast coming up after this. Welcome back to the broadcast. Joining me now down here on the trading floor of the big board, one of our favorite guests, and I absolutely mean it. I would say it even if he weren't standing just to my right. Tony Edward, author of the book Rethinking Crypto, also host of the Thinking Crypto podcast. Don't call it a comeback, bud. Bitcoin 80,000? What is happening?
JD, we are so back.
We're so back.
Bitcoin had this impulsive move to $81,000. And the great thing about this move, it put Bitcoin above the 200-day moving average. What does that mean? It means the downtrend is completed and we are now starting an uptrend. Now we are in the early phases of the bull market, but I believe this is the start of the next major bull market. And of course, there's going to be volatility. And right now, Bitcoin's consolidating. We're anticipating potentially a small pullback and then another sharp move upwards.
What would confirm for you, since you mentioned 200-day moving average, let's talk technicals. You and I, we love technical analysis. On the technicals, what would confirm for you that we are officially, kind of more officially at least, in this bull market territory, that the lows we've had from October are hopefully a thing of the past?
I'm looking for Bitcoin to reclaim $83,000, close above it, and then if it does pull back, it needs to maintain above $70,000. And I know that maybe seem like a big drop, but this is par for the course. Bitcoin in a bull market can drop 20 to 30% at times, but as long as it holds the support levels, it can keep going higher. But the important thing too is that we have the narratives. We have the debasement, currency debasement trade with the Treasury buying potentially $1 trillion of bonds, and you have the crypto legislation that's coming through from the SEC and potentially a passing of the Clarity Act in September.
Dare I ask, don't be mad at me.
Sure.
What could derail Bitcoin's current price action momentum?
I think the Clarity Act not passing in September would put a damper on the moods of the bulls because that would be such a major catalyst to help the price go higher. Although I do believe long term, if we're talking to 2027, I do believe the price is going to go higher. But in the short term, that could really put a damper on things.
Am I misunderstanding that you say in part, just a small part, because we've seen Bitcoin rally, that might kind of enthuse the animal spirits down on Capitol Hill to say, hey, we may only be 60 days and change out from the midterms, but we are going to pass the Clarity Act finally at long last in the month of September?
Yes, and keep in mind, like you mentioned, it's a midterm election year, and crypto is lobbying heavily, and they're going to spend heavily to get many senators on their side, just like they did in 2024. And those who are anti-crypto, get ready for a political attack ads to come after you, just like we saw in 2024.
Yeah, was that Fair Shake? Am I remembering the name correctly from the last big election cycle?
Yes.
I mean, you're talking mega donors. What is on your radar in terms of how the crypto industry may be more and more involved with this year's midterm elections? Because we haven't really talked a lot about it yet.
Right.
But you bring up a really good point, and something I remember from the last presidential cycle, which was it wasn't maybe on the radar of a lot of voters out there, but it was a really big force working its way in the background.
Yeah, look, there are over 50 million Americans that own crypto, and a lot of the politicians are not listening to their constituents. So those who are being, for example, lobbied by the banks to go against stablecoins and the Clarity Act, I think they're going to get hurt in the elections because crypto, they're building the war chest. And there's a lot of companies like Ripple, Coinbase, A16Z that are already deploying funds and political ads and more. So I think these folks need to be careful. 2024 could repeat again, and crypto is ready to spend.
I know you're also following what's going on in the altcoin space as well. It's one thing just to track the so-called crypto majors, but what do you see going on in that space? What does that tell you maybe about industry-wide confirmation or things on your radar we should also be paying more attention to?
Well, the rising tide that lifts all boats is Bitcoin. When Bitcoin has a move like we saw recently, that impulsive move, a lot of liquidity coming in, ETF buying, that liquidity eventually starts to rotate to the altcoins, ETH, Solana, and it starts to trickle down even to the smaller altcoins. So we're starting to see many altcoins come to life. It is a process, and not all of them are going to wake up, but the majors are waking up, and some of the smaller ones I'm starting to see, some upticks. So that's a really, really good sign.
What are you seeing with regards to SEC regulation? Obviously, remember what the old SEC guard looked like. A lot of frustrations over their inability to define what's a security, what's a commodity. What has this new look SEC shown you so far? And what more do you think regulators like the SEC need to take into consideration?
So, it's a brand new day. The Gary Gensler days are gone, and we have Chair Paul Atkins now in office, and they are doing God's work, putting out all the guidance the crypto industry has been waiting for years. And JD, the most recent one is called Reg Crypto, also known as Regulation Crypto. This is significant. It is huge, and that's not hyperbole, because this targets token issuance. What can entrepreneurs, what can institutions do when they issue a token? What are the guardrails? That has never existed before. We saw people launch tokens without guidance. In 2017, the ICO boom. Now they have the guidance. How much capital can you raise? What do you have to do with those tokens? How do you register with the SEC? That's what's on the table.
The great Tony Ellard. I'm always grateful for your time, and man, thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here in person for the show today as well.
My
It's
pleasure.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll talk again soon. You have an open invite here on the show anytime. Do not go away. A whole lot more taking stock coming up from the big board after this.
The brand new office space at NYSE Texas, and I'm pleased to be joined by a very special guest, the president of NYSE Texas. That's Brian Daniel. Brian, it's great to be here. Congratulations on this big day.
Oh, Kristen, thank you so much. We've had an incredible day here with our grand opening. Wonderful crowd. In fact, I just walked off the stage where Governor Greg Abbott rang the closing bell from right here in Dallas.
What does this milestone mean to you?
Oh, this is a huge milestone for me. I think having this physical space, something that our listed companies really want to use. We're scheduling clear into the new year at this point for board meetings, investor days. Our listed community wanted this. It's also a great anchor for us here in Texas, certainly in the Dallas community, but statewide. It gives us a great base of operation for all the work that we're doing here.
Why is the old Parkland location the right fit for NYSE Texas?
Well, that's a good question because there's a couple of reasons. One, the history here is amazing. The way the campus really is historical in Dallas history, and even the new buildings look like the old ones, and that history is important. The NYSE Group's an old organization. We've been around 2 centuries. We wanted some of that history here as well, but it also marks a new beginning. This is where so many people in our line of work have aligned themselves. It's where their offices are. It's a community too. Just like our listed company community, Old Parkland is a community for people who are serious about Texas business and really want to see the future of Texas shine bright.
Our viewers are getting a sense as to just how beautiful this place is, of course, in the scenery behind us, the brand new broadcast studio here. Brian, walk our viewers through some of your favorite items about this brand new office.
Well, there's too many. We don't have enough time. But let me start with this studio right here. Full broadcast studio, audio capabilities. There's a podcast studio behind us because we got a message to spread, and people want us to spread the word. We can do that from here. We've got 2 themed boardroom meetings back here, meeting rooms back here. One is called Bonds and Barrels, really honors the oil industry here in Texas. Cattle and Cotton is the other one. and our Lone Star Legends wall, the legends that have built Texas business, Texas history, and there's much, much more. If you're interested, and you're interested in NYSE Texas, come see us. I got a lot to show you here in the office.
Brian, it's absolutely incredible. Some legends in and of themselves here at this brand new office opening today. People like Jerry Jones, of course, the GM of the Dallas Cowboys, majority owner of Comstock Resources, which is duly listed on NYSE and NYSE Texas too. What does it mean to have these legends here for the opening today?
Texas business community is absolutely amazing. Anybody that's watched Texas for a year or more, 10 years, 20 years, you've seen great things happening in Texas. People like Jerry Jones, people like Gary Kelly, others that were on stage with me today, people like Governor Abbott, who have really put a significant amount of effort into making sure Texas is a great place for business. We got to honor them on stage today.
We've seen you many times over the course of the past year, but last year in August of 2025, we had a big kickoff celebration at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. How has NYSE Texas grown since then?
Well, we've almost doubled it. We're at 127 dual listings now. I think we were right around 60-something when we did this a year ago at AT&T Cowboy Stadium. It's gratifying. I mean, we're getting interest from companies that want that dual listing. They see opportunities with that, and we're having great conversations. And the proof is we continue to grow this community.
What does NYSE Texas offer to listed companies?
That's really the conversation, isn't it? We offer several things. We obviously, with this great office space, we've got an opportunity for you to have a space to do what you may need to do. Board meeting, investor day, we talked about that. But really, it also is a way to help them amplify their message. They want to be part of Texas business. That's why they're here. That's why we're here too. And we are just yet another anchor point that they can use and a partner that they can have to help them be successful in their business. Because our belief is when we're all successful in our own business, Texas as a state becomes very successful.
Finally, Brian, what's next for NYSE Texas?
Oh my goodness, we're still working on dual listings. We've got a large group to talk to about that. We're starting to have conversations about primary listings here, and so there'll be more growth. I'm excited about this growth. We've got some great opportunities with that, and I'm looking forward to the next.
Yes, indeed. You're the hostess with the mostest here today. How does it feel?
Oh, it's been great. This is such a great crowd. A lot of friends here, a lot of new friends I met today. I'd love to do this every day, but we got work to do.
All right, got to get down to business. Brian Daniel, president of NYSE Texas. Brian, thanks so much for welcoming us to this beautiful new office space, and we look forward to what's to come. All right, everyone, I'm going to send it back to New York for more on Taking Stock.
Welcome back. I'm Scarlett Sieber with Money 2020, and on this segment, we're going to be talking about how fintech companies actually make money. And today, we're going to be doing an oldie but a goodie, NYSE, who's been around for a decade plus, and they have really become a tier 1 brand. They are a reminder that scale still matters in payments. NYSE enables card issuing, payouts, and cross-border payments across dozens of countries. So how does NYSE actually make money? First, per transaction processing fees. Second, FX spreads on international flows. Third, program management economics, helping other companies launch financial products without building rails themselves. Why now? Well, in the past month, NYSE added stablecoin settlement alongside fiat payouts, showing that even new rails still need global distribution and compliance to work. NYSE doesn't chase trends, they absorb them. And that is exactly how NYSE makes money, by being extremely hard to replace once they're embedded. If there's another infrastructure fintech that you want decoded, put it in the comments, and it just might make the cut. In the meantime, back over to you.
All right, welcome back to the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow here on Wall Street, which will be Friday, August 28th at 10 a.m. The latest University of Michigan figures for final consumer sentiment data for the month of August. That's a big one on the so-called soft data side of things. Then, of course, the Jackson Hole speech from brand new chairman of the Federal Reserve, the one and only Kevin Warsh. That kicks off at 10 a.m. Eastern. Here on Wall Street, we have 11 sectors in the S&P 500. Only one of them was up today. That is XLK, aka technology stocks, ripping up 3% today. Everything else was deeply in the red. Consumer staples, utilities, and consumer discretionary, the hardest hit sectors in the S&P. 30 stocks make up the Dow. Only 6 of them or so were up today. Salesforce, the big winner. NVIDIA and IBM up as well. That'll do it for the special edition of Taking Stock from New York, as well as NYSE Texas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.